And welcome back to the program. Let's begin this afternoon on line number 3 and speak with Mr. Brad Cabana. Hi, Brad. You're on the air.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you today?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. Calling in today to talk to you sort of about a call you got yesterday from a PC supporter yesterday afternoon, suggesting that I was, an opportunist and that I was jumping from the PC party to Liberals and being an opportunist.
Now, you're seeking a nomination in Trinity North, is it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, yeah. And the rebuttal is to your being accused of being an opportunist. Brad, go ahead.
Well, basically, I think it's time that the air was cleared about why I left the PC party, and not everybody knows the full story why I left the PC party. And I think, first off, it started back in the PC convention in October, the last one where Danny Williams was at, and we were in a election readiness meeting. During that convention, there was 400 to 500 delegates in that meeting. Everyone from the government was in that meeting except for, I believe, Danny Williams. And Minister French stepped up on the stage. And Minister French said, and I quote, he said, "If you see a private contractor working on the roads in your community, go ask him for a donation. They know where the contracts come from."
Okay.
I was shocked by that. I thought, I couldn't believe my ears. And I turned to the person sitting beside me. It's a fairly prominent person. I turned to that person and I said, "That has to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard a politician say." And then that person looked at me with a dirty look. And I knew right then and there that level of corruption wasn't just in a certain circle. That level of corruption was very deep.
Now, Brad, just for the for the sake of conversation,
yes,
that is corruption, or that is plain and simple, like it or not, how it works. I mean, and they didn't say fork over a check for $1,000 or make damn sure you'll never get another contract. It was just the off-the-cuff reference. I wasn't there. I'm just, I'm not defending Terry French. But if someone is doing a contract for the government, don't you think they're the first people that get a call to buy the $50 a plate or the $500 a plate tickets to the fundraiser?
I think when a minister of the Crown advises people en masse, like the entire part of the 400 or 500 people that were there, when he advises those people to approach people with government contracts to solicit donations because they know where their work comes from,
right.
To me that is a fine line between influence peddling. It's corruption. I mean, to me that affects me personally because I am an honest person. That's why I really dislike these PC supporters who are phoning in and suggesting about my character, when the reason I left the PC party was because of the corruption going on within that party,
right.
And their character.
Yeah, and I can't defend that kind of behavior or that sort of off-the-cuff and albeit juvenile sort of talk by a sitting minister. But that is the reason that you left the party, Brad?
That started me being concerned about the state of the party. Then Danny Williams that evening said, "Look, we need new blood and new ideas in the party." And then a month later, he stepped down. Yeah. So there was no new blood and new ideas coming forward for the leadership. So I let my name stand. Now, then I was threatened by another minister's executive assistant. Now, since then, that minister said, well, it didn't happen, and if it did happen, he wasn't aware of it because this person was on time off, right?
Right.
Mr. Wiseman's EA.
Right.
Now, the Liberal Party has given me their access to information requests on this issue, and in those access to information requests, the government admits that there was email conversation between Minister Wiseman and Mr. Cholak regarding myself and the leadership, but they refused to release it because it is political in nature, and therefore they don't have to release it according to the access to information.
That's right, yeah. But okay. And so far as that Chick Cholak stuff goes up in Hickman's Harbour, people will make of it what they want, even if the emails are vague, or even if they directly said, someone go up and rattle that Cabana's cage. People saw it for what it was worth. It was, once again, that borders right on idiotic, let alone silly and corrupt, and who do they think they are? The Jimmy Hoffa sitting in Confederation Building.
Exactly.
But
you summed it up right there.
But on the corruption stuff, now, Brad, what gives you reason to believe that the party that you've now chosen to represent has never uttered similarly toned words from a convention podium, or has never indicated inside the ranks that a good place to look for donations is from those that we've done something for?
Well, I approach that in this way. I look at every party as they are today, not as they were 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. You know, the Liberal Party now is not the same party as it was under Smallwood or Grimes or Wells. You know, it's a different group of people for the most part. So, I mean, I approach everything fresh. And I'm saying with this PC party, it's not the same PC party as Frank Moore's day or Peckford's day, et cetera, right? You have to hold those people accountable who are in office today. And if that same thing would apply to the Liberal Party, should they form government? It's basic rules. And what I'm saying is that even, you know, there's people in Newfoundland who are suffering. And I don't want to sound political because this is my personal belief. There's people out there who are suffering throughout the province, and they deserve better than this. They deserve to have the full attention to the problems in our society, not this kind of corruption. And while this corruption goes on, these politicians are more concerned about the corruption than they are about these people. Yeah. We have rules about corruption for a reason.
Certainly. Now, I don't know if I'm not going to associate that term to what Terry French said, because I think that's more just cracky off the cuff stuff than any sort of organized corruption and directed from a party executive down through its fundraising crowd. You know what I mean, Brad.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I can give you the context. The context was he was giving examples on fundraising, and he said, and he gave this as a very specific example, and it was a very pointed example of, guess what? If you want to do business with the government, you have to pay the piper, and these people know it. And he's putting the people in that auditorium in a position where I frankly think is illegal. He's frankly saying to those people, do something illegal. Go out there and approach contractors that are doing business with the government.
But Brad, it's only illegal if you say, okay, write the check or make damn sure you'll never get another contract. Up until then, it's just going with the obvious. It's the, okay, we'd like to have a donation, or okay, we'd like to have $500, a table of 10, $500 a plate, bought for an evening with the Premier, and no more needs to be said. And because it's all up on Tender Act, so it's not like these guys are getting wink, wink, nod, nod, closed door, backroom deals to pave a road, is it?
Well, I don't know what it is. I mean, we simply don't know. We're not inside the government. What I can tell you is he said they know where the contracts come from. That implies to me strongly, I mean, it states it outright, that this is an act of corruption. And I think, at least with my ethics, that's the way I took it. And I think most ordinary people out there listening to that would say that's a payoff.
Yeah, no, other people will think that that's an awful serious allegation to make based on what you've told us. Yeah, I mean,
on air, and it's my name, and I'm fully there are witnesses to the statement. So if the minister wants to rebut that statement, he better be careful about how he rebuts it, because there are witnesses to that statement, and I stand behind that statement. And I think that in Newfoundland we deserve better than that. And getting back to my point, when I said that when the issue with Chalik came up, and with Mr. Wiseman and threatening me, I said, you know what? There is no point in staying with the party, because the party is corrupt to the bone, including threatening people. Which is ridiculous.
I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that, Brad, and I am going to reach out to Minister French. Yeah, and I appreciate you taking the opportunity to call this show and have it out. I don't know if a lot of the people in the room would feel the same way, or to the extent that you did, nor do I know if all our listeners are going to think, oh my God, that's absolutely corruption. I don't know, and I'm not going to judge it any further than that. We're going to send an email quickly now, can we, Jordan, and Megan off to Terry French's office and see if he'd like to speak to it. And then once we have both sides and your position has been offered and understood, and we'll see what the government minister has to say to it. And feel free to stay in touch on it, Brad, and obviously through our social media sites, you and I can go back and forth and we see where we stand.
I appreciate that, Patty, and just want to add that the purpose of me bringing this out was because I'm tired of the PC party people.
Oh, but Brad, the purpose,
and a character assassination.
The purpose is political. The purpose is plain and simple political. I mean, it's as plain as the nose on your face. You're running for the Liberals, so you think this is mud you can flick at the Tories. I mean, that's why you did it, right?
Pardon me?
The reason that you said it today on air is because you're a Liberal hopeful. So it's a political thing you're doing. No one is pure Caesar's wife here inside this conversation. You revealed that today because it's a political maneuver as a Liberal hopeful. And that's fine, whatever your motivation, but that's what it is.
No, wrong. Patty, that is 100% incorrect.
Well, then if it was so pure, if you were so put off, why didn't you walk out of the room and burn your so-called Tory card right there and then?
Because I tried to be an agent of change. Like I said during the leadership debate, I tried to be an agent of change within the party.
Okay.
I've been consistent with that, Patty, and I'm telling the truth. I'm not trying to score political points. I don't even know Terry French. I never met Terry French, okay? And I'm not running against Terry French. But let me tell you this. The reason I'm bringing it up is because, as I said to you, the conversations that have happened yesterday on your show and have continued to happen from time to time about my reasoning for leaving the Conservative Party. And I thought it's fair to air why I left so that people have a perspective on why I left. They don't just
all's fair in love and war, and that's right. And it's just like how people will view what Minister French said. They will also have their own perception, and they'll read how you said it in their own mind as well, Brad. But I'm glad you called the program today. It's good fodder for conversation, and I guess it's this time next week we'll be able to revisit, as per our rules of engagement for the political hopefuls this campaign.
Yes, I appreciate the extra time for this purpose.
Yeah, we got to go because it's a fairly serious allegation, and we're hopeful to hear from the minister directly this afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, Patty.
All the best, Brad. Bye-bye. Now, whoa, there you go. I stand by what I said to Mr. Cabana. I'm not going to associate corruption with that sort of allegation made by him. That's his own perception, his own personal view on what happened. I seem to think that is plain and simple how it works inside politics. They ask everyone for a donation. Those more likely to give one are those who have done business or support the government, right? I mean, that's it, right? That's how it goes. And Mr. Cabana says that he offered it as his own personal view of disdain for that type of messaging being offered by a political minister, a sitting government minister. And what I said is what I also believe. That may be true, Mr. Cabana. And that might be part of your reasoning, but make no mistake. If he was supporting a PC member now, or was running for the Tories now in this election, albeit not for the leadership, but in some district like he is now in Trinity North or wherever else that he would have chosen to run, had he been running for the PCs, he would not have said that about the PC government or about a PC minister, so it is political. And that's fine, because it's a mudslinging blood sport. People can say whatever they see fit, but on that front, I think what I said and my perception of that right on the fly is, I think, fairly accurate. What do you think of it all? Make sure you give us a call to discuss that and whatever else is on your mind.